Hello and welcome to Animated Wonders, an Explosion Network podcast where we celebrate animation in all of its forms. This is Animated Wonders. Hello, my name's Blight. Joining me to discuss this week's Animated Wonder is Ashley Hobley.
Dylan, excited to be here to talk about animals.
That's right. Animals are a feature of this week's film. We are talking about a brand new release. We're talking about SWAT. Of course, released 2026, comes from the United States. Director was Nathan Guarino. Written by John Whittington, Christina Magalhaes, Robert Snow. Comes from Skydance Animation and it was distributed by Netflix. The cast was Michael B. Jordan, Juno Temple, Tracy Morgan, Cedric Entertainer, and Justina Machado. Synopsis: a tiny woodland creature and a majestic bird suddenly swap bodies, forcing them to team up to survive the wildest adventure of their lives. Ash, what are your thoughts on the latest Netflix animated feature film, Swapped?
It's fine. It's kind of a surface level film that has some interesting ideas, but I don't feel like it ever dives particularly deep into any of them. I feel like the pacing is a little bit off. It just takes a long time to get to the actual crux of the film. And then when it does, it just the journey that they go on is not very long. This is meant to be this story about two differing creatures who are at odds with each other, coming to appreciate each other, and they kind of speed run that really, really quick. Get through to understanding each other in like 20 minutes, rather than the whole length of the movie that you would expect something like this to deliver. So it gets through a lot of stuff really fast. I think it looks pretty good at times, but then at other times it just kind of looks bland. There's some interesting characters, like creature design and that kind of stuff in there, but then you've got all these animals who are like, plant hybrids, and then you've got the pukus, they're just squirrels or chipmunks or whatever, like tailless creatures. So yeah, I think it's fine. I'm probably going to forget it by tomorrow. I've already forgotten the line that I wanted to say about later, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think it's very forgettable. It's a once and done. No one will ever think about this within 24, 48 hours after watching it. I'd be surprised if 24, 48 hours after you've watched it, you'd remember key details, to be completely honest. It's very forgettable. I think animation-wise, it's fine for the most part. I do think that it has... there's some shots I do think generally look quite good. For instance, I think at the start where it just sits the camera steady side on and you get to see him as a kid keep going back into the water and stuff like that, like the way that's presented, just like you're watching a diorama box, because it's like given like he's so small and you can see like the world around, and because the camera's just like static, and there's a few other times it chooses to do that and sort of present the characters as smaller within the larger world, and I think at times that's when it looks good, and like that plays, like moments like that I quite enjoyed, and like that was funny at the start where he keeps going back into the water, and like that was kind of cute. But it's few and far between for moments I generally enjoyed. Voice performances I thought were fine. Like there's nothing super memorable about the main two characters. But I hated Tracy Morgan in this. I'm gonna get my main crux of the film out of the way. My biggest point where I sort of went from being like, man, this is just so average, to I dislike this movie now, which is like, he was fine as the fish, right? The second he turned into the fucking firewolf, and trying to do like a more menacing version of his thing where he's like, oh, you fucking idiots, I'm the firewolf, motherfucker. I was like, I hate this. I hate that he was cast knowing that this was the road going down.
I'm the complete opposite, because I feel like that's such a perfect twist, because you would not expect the character that Tracy Morgan is voicing to be the bad guy.
Yeah, I guess from that aspect, sure.
Yeah, I think.
Still, I hate it.
I mean, it makes the twist deliver. I don't think he's definitely not. I don't know, fucking Jeremy Irons and Lion King or something like that. But I think for a film like this, he's serviceable enough as the antagonist, you know. And I think that twist is like one of the more interesting elements of the film.
Okay. And then
but also that twist. I mean, for me, that twist is only enhanced because I know it's Tracy Morgan voicing that, and it's like Tracy Morgan's not going to be a bad guy. You know, he's just going to be that one note goofy fish character this entire thing. So that's why it was like a surprise. Yeah,
and then the other thing I would say that similar to what you said, that, and in particular, the whole like it rushes through certain things. It's like when I don't even care to look up the characters' names. I don't care enough. But when Juno Temple's character is like killed or thought to be dead, and then Michael B. Jordan carries her up the mountain and stuff like that, I swear that plays out over like 60 seconds. What like should have been like
a montage.
Should have been like more of a showing the journey, and you know.
Dylan, that's what a montage is. It's a bunch of shots to show you the strong journey, but like condensing the time.
I just think that if you was to ever have a moment where to show, I don't know, it just felt like such, like the characters just overcome their problems with each other
very quickly,
so fast,
easily,
and moments where you could have used like that one, for example, to show the characters more so coming to terms and wanting to help each other and growing their relationship. It just seemed to go fast, so fast. Core themes for this film, very surface level, very easy to pinpoint straight away. It's learning to coexist, understanding each other's differences. I mean, I think that's pretty much it on the button.
Very sure because they literally say it in the movie.
Yeah. Right at the end, Michael B. Jordan goes, to some extent, something along the lines of, you know what I've learned along this journey? We work better together. Something like that.
Yes.
Like, yep, that does seem to be the message of the movie, my dude. Yeah. And it's not like the themes or the ideas obviously presented are bad, but it's just so surface level in an idea that's been explored in all different types of scales before. Be it even and again, I couldn't help but thinking about Wild Robot. Watching, especially that came up when I was watching the end of the movie, the fire, and because it's got animals. When I think about Wild Robot, but even that movie, the coexist theme, is done better than it's done in this, and presented better, and was a lot more interesting.
It's very fun you say that because obviously Hoppers came out this year. It also ends with a fire. And also has like a coexist and humans was having to coexist with animals theme. So, of the three, this one I suspect has done the worst.
Yeah, because there's lots of movies that do these sorts of ideas and themes. I mean, in all different.
It's nothing new. Obviously, Burn Gully is like a movie that's famous for doing something like this. Like,
and even on
maybe not the coexist thing, but.
Even on a different scale, like even Freaky Friday is like a go-to example for exploring similar ideas, but in more of a confined, like understanding.
Well, I mean, I think that's what they're going with for the core concept of let's change forms, so we're each other.
Yeah. See what it's like to live in each other's shoes and stuff. But my problem is this: that there's no point in particular that any of the characters really come to an understanding of each other's problems that led them to do the things that they do. They just sort of magically. Are like, I'm sorry I did that. Okay. But then there's no like discussion or the film never, like I never felt like the characters understood each other actually. Like, at least I didn't get that out of it.
I mean, they do explain to each other what
caused
the fight
them
over
to do,
the puku,
the food,
the picket shells, and how it all kind of came back to the Noah being sent out of the valley or whatever.
Yeah. It's like the enemy of my
They
enemies.
talk about it, but then, that's about it. There's like a few sentences, and then they like get over it really quickly, which I guess they've bonded with each other. Although, like the movie takes place over like a day and a half, so I mean, can you come over? Can you overcome like long-held grievances in like a day and a half? Some people would say
Even
yes.
now that I'm thinking about it, even was it what anime maybe I watched this series? The Big Fish, was that what's it called? Or the Angry Fish? The Sad Fish? Grumpy Fish?
Pout fish.
Pout fish, sorry. Pout fish, similar ideas and stuff explored in that. And I don't think that movie was great, but honestly I'd pick it over this. And I didn't talk highly positively of that on What Do You Want to Watch. So I think that sort of scales where I'm at with this. I just put down for of note, Netflix took this over and got a deal when this was originally going to come out from Apple TV. Do you think this fits better on Netflix than it did than would have if it would come out on Apple?
Well, I feel like it's probably going to get more eyes than if it was Apple TV. I'm looking at the Skydance Animation's past films. So they did a film called Luck, which I don't know if you remember.
I did what? Yeah. That's the first. That was the first when Apple TV launched. That was their first big.
And then they did a film called Spellbound, which I don't recall. Apparently featuring Rachel Zegler, Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
So that's their previous two films. One was on Netflix and one on Apple TV. So I guess part of the deal they brought this one here. And then they've got a couple of ones also in production, which seem to be going to Netflix as well. So
yeah, they've got the deal with Skydance now.
They've got the Brad Bird one, which is coming this year, Ray Gun, which looks interesting, and I'm optimistic about that one.
That one's a bit more optimistic, yeah. Than
Michael Giacchino score, that's going to be good.
If at least one thing.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Who's this film made for?
Children.
Yeah.
Children watching Netflix.
Yeah. I think, obviously, for everything we're talking about being a lot more surface level and very direct and just, hey, and then clearly explaining the message, it just seems a lot more targeted at younger kids in particular, I guess. At the same time, I'm like, I don't know, are those snakes going to be too scary for young kids? But all right, wondrous elements. Pick the two elements of the film that stood out the most to you: animation, visual style, music and sound design, voice performances, world building, or emotional impact.
I'll go animation, visual style. I think it does look good for the most part. I think a lot of the character designs are really interesting, like the tree wolves and the moss bears and all those kind of creatures. Even the fish, I think, is like a really interesting design. I think there's that one shot where at the start of the film where the fish is swimming across, and you can see Michael B. Jordan's reflection in his scales and that kind of stuff. That's really interesting shot, and there's some interesting landscape stuff in this. All that underwater stuff was pretty cool, and some interesting ideas. And then we're very kind of scraping the barrel. I will say emotional impact, just because I feel like they did a good job with their two fake out deaths to make that work, and then the emotional. There's some nice emotional beats. Them saving the wolf kid and the wolf kid's family, stopping hunting them and that kind of stuff, and everybody come together. Then Michael B. Jordan sacrificing himself, trying to kill the wolf kid, the fire wolf. There's a solid enough pulling of heartstrings in there, so I go with that.
Animation, visual style, mostly for the visual style, I guess, or at least the concept art direction, overall visual direction, similar to what you're saying. Obviously, the creature designs are interesting and the standout point, and how it's all tied into being these environmental or foresty designs and stuff like that. All of that was quite good and interesting. And then I'll go world building, because as much as I didn't enjoy the overall story, the creatures, the design, the wolf story, by the time you get to the end of the movie with the Zao or something, Zoa. I think they were called. Zoa. They were cool, and obviously the overall sort of all Mother Nature's creatures sort of vibe, and that's sort of built up across the movie was at least a positive for it. What was your favorite scene, sequence, or character from SWAT?
I think it's the firewolf reveal. Just it's what are you going to turn into? What are you going to turn into? It's I don't know. I have to pick, and it's what if I become firewolf? "You fools!" And then there's just him catching on fire and everything. I think that was pretty cool.
I'm gonna go with when they're all going around saving everyone during the fire, just because that looked all quite good. Obviously, just that was animated quite well and looked really nice. The animation, the lighting effects, and all that sort of stuff. And it was like probably the best, I think, emotional impact scene in the film that worked the best for me. Just seeing everyone, all the animals having to come together and work together, was still nice. Of course, when the wolf, the forest wolves also then team up to make it work, and then they come back to the island and his dad and all that. Like I think that whole 5-minute sequence is my highlight. Any final thoughts on Swapped?
No.
Yeah, that's how I feel also.
It's going to get lost in the... Well, I saw it was in the top 10, but like in a few weeks it's going to be lost in the...
a week, I think whoever's going to watch this is just going to watch it this week, I think. Like, especially, if parents see it and they're like, yeah, I'll put that on for my kids this weekend.
Pushes it amongst children, families.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it's highly forgettable. New release. Nonetheless, it was a new animated release, and we've done this podcast job by discussing it, so good on us.
Good work, Bill.
Good work. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Animated Wonders. Let us know what you thought of the film on social media at explosionnetwork.com/follow. If you enjoyed the show, you can find more podcasts, reviews, and pop culture coverage over at explosionnetwork.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast and Explosion Network, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Until the next episode, remember that animation is cinema.